saying his synopsis. So Yap will examine the critical role of sustainable design in revitalizing the urban landscape of Malaysian cities by strategically integrating locally resonant material and culturally sensitive design. He seeks to embed the rich tapestry of urban history and heritage into public spaces. Not only it enhances the aesthetic appeal of these areas, but it also strengthens the community's connection to its cultural roots. So through the transformations of everyday spaces into dynamic cultural hubs, Esmond aims to foster deeper community engagement and pride, ensuring that the legacy of the past serves as a foundational element for the city's future development.
Really?
Mr. Esmond, please come ahead. Please give him another round of applause.
Thank you. Okay. Thinking how to coordinate. Thank you, MC, for the kind words, and good morning, everyone. Just so I know the crowd, who here is from Malaysia and who here is from overseas? So from overseas, maybe? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, just 3 of them. So and 4, of course. So most of you are from Malaysia. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Masa, for organizing and inviting me to speak on this topic. So this topic is very close to my heart, which is revisiting roots. So we try to, in our projects, we try to think, how do we integrate the memories and the culture into our projects to make it more meaningful for the community and the people. Okay, so this is where I studied, which is in Sydney, the University of New South Wales. Like architect Azman, so he worked as a dishwasher. I worked as a McDonald's worker, so I had to clean the trash and stuff like this. Anyway, so when we were studying here, we were studying in this Red faculty here, which is known as the Red Center. They name it after the Uluwatu red rocks in Alice Spring. But inside there, it's a field climatic design because it's very cold during the winter and very hot during the summer. So we had a first-hand experience of the weather inside the building. And this was me, slightly younger. And can I do the pointer? Okay. So we were having a third-year studio here with this architect here, who is a 2002 Pritzker Prize winner, Mr. Glenn Merkert. So we had our studio, which is a sort of like a design studio, where he took us like 10 hours from Sydney, and the site was very cold, very barren. There's no electricity and there's no water supply, and we had to design an educational facility for this. So Mr. Merkert taught us many things, and among one, it's designing with sensitivity. Yesterday, Serena, he just talked a little bit about touching the earth lightly. So he is really sensitive. When we went to site, he talked about how the ants movement, the trees, how it moves with the wind and the sound, just to capture the quality of nature in his design, creating a sense of place to it. One of the book that he introduced to all architecture students was this book. Sorry, Veronica, a bit of theory here, which is Architecture Without Architects by Bernard Rudolphski. So this book was published in 1964 in conjunction with the launching of the vernacular architecture in Museum of Modern Art in New York. I have compiled like 4 slides for this book to talk a little bit about the theory of a sense of place, tabula rasa. So you can see, like, we will move to the Africa continent first. You can see some of the Africa countries that how they build their buildings based on the climatic condition or the community. On the far right here, you can see like it's almost like a market street, and they have a beautiful roof over the street because it's the weather there is very harsh and sunny, so they need to protect themselves from the weather. In Tanzania, you can see that it's a very dense city that everything clutters together. And in Marrakesh, Morocco, you can see all these courtyard houses, which is to aid in the natural ventilation and, of course, where community gathers together. Okay, moving towards China. Even though China is a very big country, so in China itself, you can see that there are different ways of living. The image that caught my attention was this in Dongguan, China, where you can see all this is a very abstract kind of graphics, but actually is the people here stay beneath ground. So this is their only way up to the surface of the ground. Yeah. So most of the communities gather here, and on the ground they have their food plantings and stuff like this. For moving towards down south, you can see that there's an aquatic lifestyle happening here where people live on the boats and stuff like this. So this is the fishing culture that they have. And in West Asia, which is Mongolia, you can see they live in this kind of a tent architecture, which is very temporal. So it's easy to move around the places in the desert. Moving towards the Oceania part, you can see that New Guinea uh, construct their buildings on the stilts to enhance the natural ventilation in their building. So everything feels light, easy, breeze through. So it's almost like our weather, tropical weather. So everything is lifted off the ground, and there's a bit of a courtyard here moving. Uh, this one is quite an interesting picture whereby there are three different countries, but they're almost similar in terms of the way they live. So in Guinea, you can see like it's a very mobile architecture where people just put the roof on their head and they start moving. So that's how they migrate and stuff like this. Similarly, in Vietnam, you can see like people carrying this roof and they move. This is still in Congo where they build on steel and they live on top of that. So different way of living throughout the world based on climate or the location of their place. So I summarized that each place has its respective sense of place, influenced by three main factors. The first is community, second is climate, and the third is of course culture. Usually I'll talk a bit about climate because so in Malaysia we have a multi-racial community made up of Malays, Chinese, Indians, Kadazan, Iban, etc., etc. So we live together harmoniously and peacefully to avoid any wars and stuff like this. And the culture, we have so many different cultures. Some of the culture, like from the food, for those of you who are new here, maybe you can try this is Malay food, and those there are different kind of music, whether it's dancing, costume, and craft, which the previous speaker has touched on a bit. So I'll just focus more on the climate. So in Malaysia is situated along the equator, so it gives us a tropical weather, which is hot, humid, wet, and windy. It's a very tricky climate to design our building. So it's interesting to know that 70% of our land in Malaysia is covered by tropical rainforests. So we are very blessed to have this unique jungle within our region. And over the years, actually, this is a sort of like a forest right behind my house, where I used to go jungle trekking every week. But over the years, they have cut off all the trees and they made this highway, which is to ease the transportation. So yesterday there was a speaker that mentioned that we should remove the cars and enhance public transport. So this is a good example of reducing cars and use public transport more, because when you have more cars, you need more roads. When you have more roads, deforestation occurs. So interesting to note that building and construction are responsible for 39% of the carbon emission globally. So it's close to 40% of the output. So higher carbon emission means there is always an increase of global temperature. This is an interesting chart. From 1901 to 2020, you can see like over the last 20 years, the global temperature has been increasing tremendously. So this creates a hotter atmosphere and hotter temperature throughout our surrounding. A graphic by CNN, we are here. So you can see that on average we increased 1.5 degrees Celsius last year. It was one of the hottest year over the century. What happens when the temperature rises? So you can see like there are more precipitation in the atmosphere. It means there's more water. What happens when there's more water in the region? So it becomes wet and windy. So when rain increases, this happens, which is a displacement of local community. Um, there's flood happening in the school, disrupting the education system, and of course the loss of food security, like the food wastage, like rice, etc. So all these are disruptors of our environment, and our company thinks how to design around this by reducing our impact on the surrounding or our building. Okay, finally, we are moving towards the project side. So all the theory is done. Now we'll move to the project. So today I would like to share five simple projects with you guys. It's I changed this to be more community based to suit the title, which is the cultural. The first project that we did was it is a Kuala Lumpur Architecture Festival, which is in TT Wangsa Pavilion. The theme of the festival is space, time, and meaning. So it questions architects or designers what is it, how to make our building relevant and it essentially more human, so we can connect to the surrounding or the culture and the community. So the site is here, which is beautiful site. Those of you who hasn't been there, please go, because you will get this view when you go there, which has a beautiful lake, trees, nature, and of course skyscrapers that you can see the the four big towers rising above. So we started looking for inspiration and we started walking around the surrounding site and we found a very peculiar building, Malay building or enclave right next to the site, which is Kampung Baru. So in Kampung Baru, there are still many traditional Malay houses that looks like this. So it's a very typical on the stilts, lifted off the ground and zinc roof just to get by. So we thought like, how can our design um, celebrate and create this memory for the culture of this place. Then we thought like, okay, then we started looking at a traditional timber house is constructed like this with the columns, timber, joists, and the beam running across just to form the roof structure and the overall backbone. But this time and age, more and more timber buildings have been demolished in place for like concrete, steel, glass, etc., or bricks. So this creates a lot of wastage in the environment. Oopsie, such as this. So we thought like, okay, maybe we can utilize some of the timber here and make it into a pavilion. So we started a very simple form. Given that it's quite a small site actually. It's a 3 meter by 4 meters. So we started with a simple box pavilion. This is how it feels like when you're inside the pavilion. 3 meter high, and this is what the view. This is what the view you get when you're inside a clean pavilion, just a frame itself. Then we thought, why don't we explore putting the timbers vertically? So when you put the timber vertically, the space within remains the same. So it's just like you get the entire 3 meter, but it doesn't affect the prospect and refuge space. And this is how it looks like from within. It's a bit distorted, which is beautiful. But then we try what happens if we lay it horizontally. So when you lay it horizontally, the spatial three-dimensional space starts to change. So as you move along, your body changes with the space. So it's a space-time meaning comes together with this. So it creates a very distorted picture, which gives it a pixelated feel. So you can view the landscape in a different eye. So you can start to observe different details around the site. Oopsie, how did I zoom in? This is a simple exo. You can see that steel frame, cables, and timber, recycled timber. A drawing of it. And this is how it looks like at night. So we try to make it glow. The view from inside, you can see the spatial changes as you move through it. This is the view from inside to outside, and a bit of shadow interplay with the nature. Unfortunately, it did not get built because the cost it cost around 30,000. So of your own money. But never mind. The idea lives on. We'll move on to the next one. So the idea for this project is we try to preserve the memory and the history of the city by reusing and assembling disposed timbers. This is the second project that we won. We were quite lucky. This is organized by Landscape Institute of Malaysia for Johor Sculpture Competition. This is at Majlis Bandar Raya Johor Bahru. So the briefs call for a heritage symphony, which is to celebrate Johor's heritage and the symphony of the place. So it tries to capture the sound of the place and a bit of heritage. And the site situated was Laman here, which is Sultan Ahmad Samad, which is situated within the city itself. So we started looking around the site, what is happening in JB that we try not to do. We found out that in recent times, Johor Bahru has been developing very fast. So I'm sure if you cross the causeway, you'll see all these high rise flanking you towards Singapore. So we thought like, oh, let's try not to do this, and let's try to find something that reminds the people that what Johor Bahru was, and try to celebrate its identity. So then we started looking at history. A very interesting place in Johor Bahru is this Kampung Melayu, which is used to be a fishing village. So because of its location, which is next to the streets, so there are a lot of fishermen, making a living out of this economy. Then we started looking at some of the activities that they do, which is using the net to catch the fish. Although now there are modern technologies to catch the fish, and some of the stilts that they when the high tide come, it changes according to the tide, so it captures the nature, how it moves through the sea and stuff like this. I couldn't find a picture. One of the pictures is like how the fishermen actually hang their hang their nets to dry the nets after they finish their fishing activity. So then we started looking at what kind of material we want to incorporate that can remind the people of the place. We started looking at the fishing nets, which is this one. So in fishing nets, there are different ways of knotting the net just to create a bit of tension. So not only there are different ways of knotting, there are different thickness, there are different material to it. And we started like exploring what kind of material that we want to create a maximum strength and suspension across the pavilion or the sculpture. It's interesting to note that the ocean aquatic life, 50% of it uh, are influenced by this net, ghost netting they call it. So the 50% of the ocean marine life dies because of ocean ghost netting. So we tried to remind the environmental aspect of this as well. So we started sketching. How do we want to capture the symphony of the nature, whether it's rain, breeze, whisper, and breath? And we wanted the place to be more flexible rather than just a fixed pavilion or sculpture. So we wanted people to engage with it, use it, whether it's art, whether it's a community gathering, whether it's a social gathering, using it, sleeping in it, or even a seminar like this that can happen